Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call this afternoon's meeting of the Clay County Board of Commissioners to order for Tuesday, December 16th. Our first item is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We're missing a microphone, huh? We have a motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Krabnoff. Any further comments or questions on the agenda? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Our next item is citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens to be heard on items not on the agenda?
I'd like to talk about property taxes. Is that on the agenda?
It's on the agenda. Actually, it's part of the truth and taxation. Is that what you're here for?
No, I'm here just to whine.
All right, let's get after it.
Okay. 3-4 weeks ago, I got my proposed property taxes. It's probably good that circumstances didn't allow me to attend until now because I was quite agitated to start with, and so it's better that I'm calm. I'd like to tell a couple stories because I think the stories resonate better than just a series of facts and figures. My name is David Kragness from Felton, Minnesota is my address. 10600 60th Street North, Felton, Minnesota. David Kragness, K-R-A-G-N-E-S, just like the town. When my son was thinking about taking over, we went and talked to Bell Bank, who's been our long-term banker, asked them how big of a farm do you have to be a viable farm. They said 1,500 acres is what we consider about the smallest viable farm, unless you have some specialty crops in your rotation. So the most I ever farmed was 1,350 acres. So I am smaller, not me personally, but my farm was smaller than considered a small farm. I like to compare my farm business with some businesses downtown. And the ones I like to use is the Dairy Queen because people know all about it, and Dugan's Auto Supply. In both cases, family-run business. The family works there, and they hire some part-time or full-time workers. Especially they hire a Dairy Queen to hire some summertime help. Sounds a lot the way a farm is structured with a family-owned business that they hope to make profitable and pass on to their family. The Dairy Queen's property tax is $5,430. My property tax is $53,182. So a small farm, a small business, I'm 10x the property tax what they are downtown. Their county portion at the Dairy Queen, their county portion of the tax is $1,201. My projected increase in county property tax next year is $1,877. So the increase that I'm going to have next year projected is 150% of what their total is for a family business downtown and another family business downtown because Dugan's and Dairy Queen pay about the same amount. My total property taxes is my property tax for the county is 80% of what the Dairy Queen's total tax is. And it looks like I'm going to get an 8% increase, give or take, by the time we're done with you folks and the schools and et cetera. Another comparison I'd like to make is the Dilworth Super Walmart. How many hundreds of people do they employ? How many folks' total livelihood comes out of Dilworth Super Walmart? And they pay $163,216 in total property taxes. Now, a typical farm out in our country, I said 1,500 acres is too small. A typical farm now is a young couple in their 30s, 40s, maybe 50s, and retiring parents in their 70s and 80s. Typically, they farm about 3,500 acres, which property taxes on that 3,500 acres happens to just about equal what the entire Dilworth Super Walmart is. So the typical family farm out in Clay County pays as much property tax as the Dilworth Super Walmart. How in the hell can we figure this is fair? If there's a guy down the road that has exactly the same house as I do, and he has exactly the same net worth as I do, and he has exactly the same income as I do, so that at the end of the year he owes exactly the same state and federal tax as I do, because I have chosen to invest, my retirement account was land that I built up over the 50 years that I farmed, and he's chosen to do 401k or stocks, bonds, gold bullion, antique cars, whatever else he has for his retirement account, even though we are exactly equal in net worth, earned money, everything else. At the end of the year, I pay $50,000 more in property tax than he does. Same guy, same net worth. I pay $50,000 more than he does because my retirement account is dirt and his retirement account is something else. I know that this isn't the place where you can change the formulas, but if you're unhappy with the steak, you don't get to talk to the chef, you get to talk to the waitress. And so I'm here to complain to you folks, and I know that you carry these stories on up, but I want to reinforce it. And as you're making some difficult decisions here over the end of the year, I want you're killing us, man. You're killing us out there. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other citizens to be heard on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to the approval of bills and vouchers.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the bills and vouchers.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next, we have approval of minutes from November 25th and December 2nd. I'll take them both in one motion unless there's a need for correction on either.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, then to approve the minutes from November 25th and December 2nd of 2025.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Our next item is the request approval of out-of-state travel for opioid program manager. Good morning, or good afternoon, Rory. Or good evening.
Chair and Commissioners, I have a quick request.
You want to turn on your mic, Roy?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I have a quick request. I'm requesting approval for out-of-state travel for our opioid program manager to attend the Opioid Crisis Management Congress in Austin, Texas in February. We estimate it's going to be $2,000. That's very close. That amount is in budget, in our overdose prevention budget from MDH. We have approval from MDH for that as well. So I'm asking for your approval tonight.
Any questions? Commissioner Bear.
So this is being provided by MDH's overdose prevention grant is covering the bill on this. Yep.
Correct.
With that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel for the opioid program manager to attend the National Opioid Conference.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, next we have approval of agreement with Otter Valley Railroad. Good afternoon, Justin.
Good afternoon. Yeah, so the item I have is a railroad agreement. So this is just the permit that's needed due to the roundabout construction and means that we will enter railroad right away. It's just a standard railroad agreement, nothing out of the ordinary with this one.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Otter Valley Railroad.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Krabanoff, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion?
Just one question.
Bear.
With the cost of this, is this built into the roundabout total cost?
Not, so this wouldn't be eligible for reimbursement from state aid, but it is built into my budget for next year.
All right. Perfect.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next, we have a request approval of the cost of living adjustment 26. Good afternoon, Darren.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for having me for this. I am here to request the 2026 COLA for the unions that we have settled with and for the non-union employees of Clay County. Just a quick, brief overview. We have about 706 employees in Clay County right now. That includes full-time, part-time, and variable hour. We have 10 unions that we are currently bargaining with, and we have settled with 5 of those already. The COLA that we are looking for next year, 2026, is the 4% increase. How that compares, and I did some research on some other counties right now. As you know, we have 19 comparable counties that we look at all the time. And for 2026, they're running about 3.95%. So this is in the realms of what our comparable counties are running as well. I also looked at out of the 19, 10 of those counties responded. So that's out of 10, not out of the whole 19. For the 2025, this year, 15 of those counties responded, and the average for 2025 was 4.08%. If you recall, we did a market study last year, and we came in at 6% for this year. So what we're requesting for next year is 4% for the overall COLA.
We did a 3 and 3, didn't we? Isn't that-
Yes, total of 6, yeah, 3 and 3. 3% COLA and 3% market adjustment last year, to be implemented this year. And with that being said, I'm open to questions.
Questions?
Just a comment. Appreciate you going and figuring out what the average is.
Certainly.
One of the things when we look at these, we also have to pay close attention just to the Fargo-Moorhead market.
Yes.
Sometimes that can be significantly different than what you might find in Fergus Falls, for example.
Right, correct.
And that is included in what you do for comparisons, right?
Yes.
I know we use it in our market studies. We use the Fargo-Moorhead.
Yep, exactly.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the cost of living adjustment of 4% for 2026.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ebinger, second by Commissioner Krabenhoft. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries, and the COLA is established for 2026.
Thank you.
Next, we have a salary adjustment request from our sheriff. Good afternoon, Sheriff.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for having me here this afternoon. I'd like to start this off just by saying that, first of all, it's kind of odd for me to do something like this. I've never sat in front of the board and asked for an adjustment. I'm going into my 8th year as sheriff next year, and this is going to be the first time I've sat in front of the board asking for this adjustment. It's never really an easy time to ask for something like this. This is something that I know our county administrator and I have talked about quite frequently over the past 2 to 3 years about when is a good time. And when the chief deputy and I sat down and did our budget this year, there was I don't want to say extra funds, but when you're losing people at the higher rate and bringing people in at a lower rate, you're having that gap in there. So this was salaries going into salaries for this request. This was budgeted back in June, July when I did my budget presentation. We're not asking for more levy dollars at this point because it already is in my budget. I did run the comparable numbers as well that Darren alluded to earlier with our 19 comparables, and I'll get to those in a moment. I am requesting the salary adjustment for myself. Over the past several years, the responsibility of this office have grown substantially, yet the compensation does not fully reflect the scope and demands of the role. I'm responsible for overseeing all the hiring within the department, managing a complex and evolving budget, and managing internal matters and personnel concerns. A lot of times at a higher volume compared to other county departments, just because of the nature of our job, where we have a lot of citizen contacts and things of that nature. The addition associated with the new jail brought more staff at the jail. That brought 15 more staff members at the jail. We further have 5 more additional staff members within the law enforcement center as well. Yet the salary for this position has not been formally reviewed since these changes. Beyond the core administrative and operational duties, it requires additional time commitments. As I'm sure many of you are aware, I'm always out working extra hours during summer celebrations, community events. I'm always out at church picnics, township picnics, the fair, roll-log, all different kinds of events that happen throughout the summer. Attending many fundraisers throughout the year as well. That's just to do that, to build the rapport with our community, for the sheriff's office, but also Clay County as well. I also participate in a lot of after-hours meetings and critical incident responses, and I assist as well in filling staffing gaps. And I feel that we're going to have a little bit more than that, or a little bit more staffing gaps here come 2026 with earned, safe, and sick time. That I feel is going to be an issue for us. Therefore, I am respectfully requesting this salary adjustment, which is built into the budget, to be in line with our comparable jurisdictions and recognize the increased responsibility and significant time commitments associated with the role. As I indicated, I do have some comparables here, and currently for 2025, I am 14 out of 20. The 20 is I included Clay County into that number, so I'm 14 out of 20. And just for reference, in 2024, I was 13 out of 20, so I had taken one step back. This salary adjustment for 26, and I'm going to compare 2025 rates because that's what I have. I don't have a lot of projected rates for 26 for our other comparables, but this would put me at number 7 out of the comparables, and I'm assuming that some of our other comparables will be getting raises in 2026, moving them up and moving me further down that list as well. With that, I would yield to for any questions.
Questions?
Not so much a question, a comment. Yeah. Well, I think, Mark, Sheriff, you did, you talked about this earlier in the year, as you had said, so it really isn't a surprise to me. It's good to have your analysis that you talked about. The work that you do and that we do see, I mean, is outstanding. We see that, and I want to honor that. So personally, I'm totally comfortable with what you're asking for.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ebinger.
I'll echo Commissioner Krabanoff's comments, and I would like to make a motion to adjust the Clay County Sheriff's salary to the agreed or the presented level we had at the budget presentation. I believe that's going to be,
It's 10.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead, it's your motion.
Make the motion for the 18.
10,000.
yep. The
That was 10%.
10%.
Oh,
Sheriff, is 10% you presented
Correct, 10% plus the COLA.
plus COLA,
yeah.
so
Yes.
that'd be 14%.
We need, yeah, you need to finish, and then we'll have a second, and then we can have discussion.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay, it'll be a 14% increase.
Do we have a second? All right, just for now,
I'll make the second.
okay, we have
to
a
make the
second.
second.
Now, for discussion purposes, I think on all of our elected position salaries, we have to have a motion with a dollar amount, don't we? Isn't that what's required?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, based on your actions today, I will be
We haven't
bringing...
done anything yet.
No, based on your actions, if you were to make actions today, I would be bringing a resolution for the board that would designate the exact number per statute requirement.
So ultimately, that resolution is separate
That's correct.
And that'll be at a later time.
That'll be next week.
But just for clarification, your motion had 14% in there?
That was 10% plus the COLA.
Okay, so the 10% is applied first and then the COLA?
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, if you look at your wage calculator in the far right column, it breaks it down, what that 4% would be, excuse me, and then the second number, so the hourly wage, hourly rate would be $88.48 would be what the sheriff would be requesting.
Again, my question is the 10% go on first and then the 4% COLA goes after that?
Based on the wage calculator, it looks like the 4% was added and then 10% on top of that.
I think that needs to be reversed, doesn't it? No? Okay.
So we're looking at $18,646.20 increase.
That's what's on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Sheriff, is that what you're looking for?
Correct, yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
Just one more comment towards the sheriff. That's one thing I've noticed with you. You're always out and about in the public during the summer and all year round, actually, just not the summer. And with my constituents, really appreciate you being out there, being public and being seen, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I think it's also worth mentioning that Sheriff is taking a very forward step with the Minnesota Sheriff Association. He's now their second vice president. He's represented the Clay County well. One of the problems that we have, as we all experience, is that outstate Minnesota doesn't have a lot of champions in the Capitol when it comes time to argue our issues. And he is there, and I am grateful for that. That's a critical issue that we as a commission have tried to address.
I do want to add that the sheriff did bring this forward to our PIC committee, and we had a significant discussion in PIC regarding it, and went into probably even more detail than what you shared here today. And I do agree the fact that you haven't come up here before, and I don't know, the market study might have helped a little bit because you probably got a little bit of assistance through the market study from 2025.
No more than anybody else.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it helped everybody a little bit.
It helped everybody.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm gonna support your request as well. I think as what's been mentioned here, I just saw a picture of you again this morning out on a bad accident that occurred, and those things aren't easy, are they?
They're not. No, they're not at all. And I think the hardest part of those types of calls is dealing with family and coworkers and things of those nature. It's one thing to deal with the incident itself. It's another thing to deal with the family.
Well, I know in times when we're trying to keep our taxes down for this, as gentleman just said, but at the same point in time, we need to do the right thing to keep the people that we have. With that said, any other discussion on the motion?
Only a question. So we have an exact dollar amount that is in your,
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I think if you would vote on the hourly rate, then we can verify with HR to make sure all the additional PERA and things are correct, and we'll bring that as part of the resolution next week.
I'll accept that into my motion.
I'll second the amended motion. As a second.
All right, we have a friendly amendment and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried, and I think the final resolution that we do will probably have voice votes on there.
Thank you. And once again, I just
Thanks, Sheriff.
like to reiterate my appreciation to the county board. I know I said it at PIC. We're kind of in a unique area here where we do all get along. That's something that doesn't happen everywhere else, and we also all get along as department heads as well. So I appreciate all the department heads and working with them throughout the years, and the county administrator and the board support. So thank you.
All right, next we have the salary adjustment request for the Chief Assistant County Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I've passed around a document to you. I think that's going to be the most updated that Darren had. I had submitted some other documents along. I'll probably talk through a lot of the discussion. Obviously, the next item after this is my own salary, and we'll talk through that too. But I do just want to talk through a little bit. I know this board is aware, but maybe for the public's information or standing, you know, we've had kind of a somewhat long saga the last 3 years, really 4 years of watching the market change for the county attorneys or assistant county attorney world. We saw a large market adjustment that happened when public defenders received a fairly significant raise through the state about 3 years ago now, or going on 4 years, where some public defenders end up getting adjustments in the realm of sometimes $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 pay increase. And what that caused, that market adjustment, then caused a larger change within the market, where you saw a lot of assistant county attorneys leaving different offices and going into the public defender sector for a period of time. And so then the market had to catch up with itself, and watching different assistant county attorneys or offices being vacant for a period of time, or having to adjust pay to attract assistant county attorneys and keep those positions either filled or get them filled. And so we've seen that happen over the last 3 years. But within that, our own county, just by the way it happened, is that's when we just started the previous union contract with the Clay County Assistant County Attorneys. And so they had a brand new contract 3 years ago. And so they didn't really see that adjustment, or they didn't see that adjustment other than cost of living raises for that period of time. And so as we came up to this most current contract period, the assistant county attorneys, we knew that there was likely going to be needing a fairly significant adjustment within the market to make sure that those individuals stayed here or were attracted to be here and continue to be here in Clay County. I will tell you, over the last 3 years, I looked back, we had 9 vacancies occur over a 3-year period. So we're averaging about 3 per year where they were leaving, having to refill. And all of those except one went back to doing some clerking for a judge, but all of them remained in the legal field and working as assistant county attorneys, but working as assistant county attorneys in the Twin Cities. And so when you see that kind of rollover, what we really realize is we're doing a lot of training here for individuals that ultimately end up being in the Twin Cities and doing work for them, which they're doing good work. They're still doing a lot of the stuff that we care about, and making sure that public safety is the highest concern, but obviously they're not here, and so we need to keep working to fill those positions. With all that said, the reason I tell all that, I know that this board is aware that ultimately this board authorized Darren to negotiate with the union and the assistant county attorneys to do a 9% pay increase along with that 4% COLA that the board just authorized. So ultimately, the assistant county attorneys within the office all received that 9% pay raise and a 4% cost increase, ultimately a 13% pay increase to get that market right for them and their union contract. And so I appreciate that greatly, both that authorization and what the board worked to do to make sure that we do have those individuals receiving pay that's equitable across the board and comparable to other assistant county attorneys that are within the state currently. And so that's a good thing. I think it helps correct the market, and it does well for what we'll see in the future. What that doesn't do, it doesn't authorize anything for the people that are outside of the union, the management folks, the 2 chief assistants that I have, the criminal chief assistant, Pam Foss, and then my chief assistant for civil, Katie Stock. And so I'm looking to try to right the market for them as well and apply that. The thing I want to make sure that the board is aware of is there had been some market adjustment for them previously. Last year when it was looked at and the county had that 3% that was available, they were outside of market by about that, and they received a 3% pay raise. But again, when we're looking at 9% for assistants, and we got 3% there for the chief assistants. So as I looked at doing adjustments and bringing in calculations to the board, ultimately the large sheet that you have in front of you, I put some other ones in there that I had previously, but they didn't have quite the right calculation that I needed, that Darren corrected for me, so I appreciate getting those. And those would be looking at moving the chief assistants up from one grade, from grade 27 up to grade 28, but actually moving them back one step. And that would give them around, unfortunately, it's not perfect. It doesn't size up exactly right. It doesn't come out to be 9%, but it comes up to around 7% or so. Unfortunately, a little bit lower for Katie's, about 6%, or 3% this time, with that 3% from last year. So they'd be about 6% for her, about 7% for Pam, and then also they'd have the cost of living. So if looking at that total, they'd be looking around 7%. Is basically what I'm asking for them when you look at moving them up that one grade and back a step. So that generally is what I'm asking for them. To look at my own salary too,
Let's do that.
Okay, we can definitely do that separate too, but I just wanted to tell you that I am looking around basically 7% myself too, so I just wanted to let you know that.
I know this was discussed at our Personnel Issues Committee meeting as well, and went over it in detail, and the recommendation out of PIC was to approve this request as well. In terms of them going up one grade and then back one step, right? Is that?
Correct. We had talked, and it's where those two sheets that I actually included in there. Originally, when I brought the pick, I gave both, if we went up one step and back versus just straight, just a right one up line and kept it the same, that would be closer to, for Katie, that'd be about 6%, plus the former 3, that'd be about 9%. Pam would be closer to 7 or 8%, plus 3 would be about 11%.
Well, they weren't already at the top step in their current grade.
At their current grade, Pam was. Pam's a 25, or yeah, about 25-year veteran, so she's at the very top. So her going up one extra grade and back allows for her to get one.
You will get one more step
get one more
at some
step,
point in time down the road.
Correct.
And then Katie would get
Katie is about
more than one.
8 years. She has several. Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion?
I have nothing, but I'll make a motion to adjust the chief assistant attorney salaries.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Commissioner Barris, second by Commissioner Ebinger to approve the wage adjustments as presented. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right, now Sheriff, we'll get into yours now.
I appreciate it, greatly appreciated for their increase. So with my salary too, I mean, I guess much as Mark said, you know, it's a weird time to come and before the board requesting that. I sit through all that. I know the difficult decisions the board is obviously looking at throughout to decide pay increases, costs, those types of things. I do look at when we talk about the fact that this market adjustment has been made across the board with assistants looking at 9%, the chiefs looking at something close to that same or looking at around 7% plus an increase. When I did budgeting, when I had done the budget, I asked for my own David Drown's check to see where our market study was just for the assistants. And that ultimately came at 9%, but I didn't have that originally, and I budgeted for everybody really closer to about 7%. And so within my own, I put in for 7% request that has been put into the salary request or budget request. And so in looking at everything, I will just want to point out that all of that pay increase ultimately, largely our cost within the county attorney's office at least, did not go up that much, primarily because we lost one of our most individuals who had experience, which was Mike Leeser, who became a judge. And by him leaving as a 10-year veteran and hiring a new person at line 1, that cost that's in between is basically even pretty much for what we've been able to do for the salary increases for the assistants and then also the chief assistants, and then also including myself. But I do think that based on the fact that, you know, when I started back 28 years ago, we had 3 assistant county attorneys. We now have 12 assistant county attorneys. There is a lot more management. There is a lot more things going on. There was a large-scale adjustment within the market. I have not ever in the 17 years of being the county attorney come before to ask for a pay raise. So I thought it was appropriate this time with that type of adjustment across all of the office that I would come in and ask for that 7% pay increase for myself as well. Subject to your questions.
And again, this was, all this was brought up in PIC, and one of the things that Brian mentioned early on in this discussion was what had transpired with the state and their increases to public defenders, and that really, it really set us below at a point where, you know, as you said, I think we were losing attorneys to that, and that's not a good thing. I have a question here. So you mentioned you were asking for 7%?
I put in the 9% increase as the document, so you would know that, what that is. I mean, I look at, you know, if the management and my managers are looking at about a 7% increase, I think 7% would be appropriate for me as well. And so that you have the document in front of you, what 9% would ultimately be, so I think it would be somewhat a little bit less.
And you had incorporated that into yours into the budget, right?
Correct.
That presented?
Correct.
Were these 7% for the other two were not?
No, they were too.
They were too? Okay.
Correct.
So this is the way it was in the budget,
They were all, correct. All of them were.
but what you, for
Mine,
you? Yeah,
correct.
okay.
All right, any further discussion?
Well, to me, it seems all equitable and keeping everybody in line, so I'll make a motion to adjust the Clay County attorney's salary as budgeted.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Krabanoff and second by Commissioner Ebinger to adjust the county attorney's salary to, as presented in his 2026 budget. Any further discussion on the motion?
And Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that it is that 7% as I budgeted, but that would include, I assume, the 4% COLA, correct?
Right.
That, and again, that's why my discussion was earlier. I think those numbers come first, and then the COLA comes on top of that. That's, sure. I think that's typically how we do it.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Brian.
Much appreciated.
All right, next. We're scheduled to take a break, aren't we? But I wonder if we can just keep going here until 6 o'clock. Steve, do you want to talk about the 2026 Clay County budget?
Mr. Chair, I wonder if it would make
You
more.
want to do that after?
Yeah, I wonder if it'd make more sense if we did committee
Okay,
assignments now.
sure, we can do that. Yeah, let's go to the committee reports. I was going to, Commissioner Bear, would you like to start?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On Wednesday, December 3rd, I had Clay County Collaborative where we discussed, it's been a while, but we had a quorum. We discussed the termination contract between the Clay County Collaborative and REACH, because REACH and CAP LP are joining forces, so then we had to have a new contract put together with CAP LP being in charge and transferring the remaining funds over to them for the rest of the year, and I believe we have one set up for going forward for next year as well. We also discussed some breakdowns on funding for the school districts. Nothing was set in stone there, but we were gonna give it back over to the other group, but
Admin.
the admin to finalize it, so. Commissioner Krabanoff was also there at that meeting. He chairs that meeting, so I'll let him, if he wants to discuss any more, go into that. And then on the 5th, I was at the Partnership for Health with Clay and Becker County, that we are now in ourselves becoming the first of the year. So we had our meeting before the end of the year just to discuss some things. We discussed the timeline for approval of Clay County and Becker County Health Board. We had talked about the administrator. Right now, with our new hire to take over public health, they need to have 2 years of experience to be able to run a community health board. So right now, we're gonna split those roles between Becker and Clay County for the first year anyways, and see about going forward with that. We also had the grant breakdowns there on what it will look like for next year. If there's anything else, I'll let Commissioner Ebbinger add to that because he's the chairman of that committee. On also December 3rd, I had an online meeting with the AMC Transportation Committee, where we discussed 2 amendments that were going to be going forward to the AMC annual conference. Then on December 7th, that's Sunday, I had an MRC meeting where we had a person there to discuss about the upcoming legislative session. Not too much has changed from last year to this year. It still looks like it's going to be a tied House and Senate with a 1-vote majority to DFL. We discussed our upcoming legislative programs that we plan on going after there. And then on Monday the 8th, I had the AMC Transportation Committee where we finalized our 2 amendments going forward, and one of them was, I believe, is also an environmental, but we passed one through the committee for 1-to-1 ratio split on wetlands. So if 1 acre wetland goes out, we only have to replace it with 1 acre. And then we also had an amendment on the rail system that went up to Big Lake, on how that money, if there is any money left over once that is shut down, to give it back to the communities that put the money into it. And also at the AMC, for those 3 days, I went to a couple conferences there. One was Indian Affairs, one was about trash, and a couple others. And then the last day of the AMC, we had voted on our amendments, and they all passed for the whole committee. And I'd like to give a shout out for our very own Commissioner Mojo when she was elected as the 2nd vice president of theirs. So going forward in the next 3 years, I think it is, she'll be president of the AMC if it all follows through. So I just want to give a shout out to her. Congratulations to her. She's not here right now, but I assume she'll be here for taxation. And that is all my reports.
Thank you. Commissioner Ebringer.
Thank you. Wednesday, the 3rd of December, I got up early and went to the Kiwanis Club. I was requested to come and brief them on county issues. Really good, engaged, knowledgeable group of people. Asked great questions. and knew a whole lot more about our community than the average citizen does. It was a great opportunity to discuss some of the current issues with them. Later that day, I attended the Northwest Emergency Communication Board meetings virtually. The good news, one of the reports was from Brian Zastapel, who is the technical advisor for the Northwest region, but also for RRRDC. And as of that day, which was the 3rd, the new dispatch center was up and running, and they were dispatching calls out of it. So long, hard, many hours, years, and effort put forward by a lot of people to make that happen. So that was good news. Later that day, or no, I'm sorry, Thursday the 4th, I had an AMC Public Safety Policy Committee pre-conference call, very similar to Commissioner Bear's with his committee. We were discussing our pending amendments to our platform that we were going to discuss with the entire committee when we get together at AMC. And Friday, Clay Becker Partnership for Health. It was the premier, or the first meeting with the 2 new partners, us and Becker County. Commissioner Bear did a good job of describing the events there, but it's good to have this thing up and running, paperwork done, and we're gonna do our job. On the 4th, bear with me, I've got a lot of notes here. Okay. Sunday the 12th, Sunday the 7th through Tuesday the 9th, I attended the AMC conference. Again, we, first day of the meeting, we had our Public Safety Policy Committee meeting, came up with our recommended legislative positions. The psychiatric residential treatment facility presentation was given by Commissioner Mojo and County Administrator Larson. They did a great job. There's a lot of interest in this. Social Services has interest in it. Obviously, Corrections and Public Safety has interest in it. These are things that I think we're going to really, we've got some support and the ball's rolling, and I hope that bodes well for us in the legislature this year. Again, I also want to extend congratulations to Commissioner Mojo. She has done a great job representing this county and working with AMC to advance the concerns with the legislature the counties have. And she will continue to do so, only now she is second vice president, 3 years out from being president. So congratulations to her. Again, bear with me. Oh, I did have on the Tuesday the 9th, while at the committee, or while at the AMC conference, I ducked out to virtually attend the Treatment Court Initiative Committee Law Enforcement Subcommittee meeting. It's the first one we had, and there were discussions on how to draw law enforcement in to support the treatment court initiatives that we're working on right now. And then Monday, today, I had a PIC meeting. Without going into too much detail, since none of these issues have come up, we usually have a PIC meeting early enough to get them on the agenda. But we discussed several issues today that we'll see in upcoming agendas. And that completes my report.
All right, thank you. Grabenoff.
Thank you. On December 2nd, I had our quarterly law library meeting run by Judge Rosenfeld. Anyway, this law library, that we have on the lower floor in this building is funded by the state based on the number of cases that we have here in this district. So our financials are in good shape, and we also have a new employee on board now running the clinic during clinic hours. On the 3rd, we had our lobbyists, we had team meetings with our lobbyists for strategic strategies going forward with the PRTF and the non-secured building. We were getting lined up at that time to meet with the governor's aide, which we did the following Monday. And we prepared for that, and I think we had a very good conversation. And the aide was familiar with our lobbyist, and good discussion, and one step closer to the governor. So we'll see where that goes, and if we get on the budget, governor's budget. Then also already been mentioned by Commissioner Bear, had the Clay County Collaborative. I think the only thing I would add on that is it was, again, giving direction for the schools in how they would, the investments they may do as they apply for grants. Let's see, Thursday, Friday. Administrator Larson, I, and Steve Summers from Solutions Mental Health. We had a 2-day meeting with the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council, held at Jackpot Junction in Morton, Minnesota. 2 full days. 2 long full days, but very good days. Anyway, our part there was to give our presentation of what we're moving forward for the non-secure building, and we did get a unanimous decision and a signed resolution by the council that all 11 tribes do support our work. Also, as part of that, we had time to meet the Commissioner of Public Safety, Commissioner of Department of Children, Youth, and Families, which was very good, among others that were there. And kudos once again to Representative Keeler, who was in attendance, for her part in that presentation and introductions and helping us build a relationship with tribal leaders. That was those 2 days, and Sunday through Wednesday, I too was at the AMC annual conference. I did start out with a seminar involving the Indian Affairs and their services. Also, I'm part of Public Health and Human Services. Moving forward was mainly information that will be given data to the state to find efficiencies, to help us keep the state in line so they aren't putting disability waivers on us, and the state does its job to keep funding those disability waivers as they have in the past. Also, the other thing moving forward will be updates to the modernization of the state's reporting system with social services. And then also there is framework being done as we have further discussions about, we call it the ACT, the Minnesota African American Family Preservation and Child Welfare Disproportionality Act. That's why we call it the ACT. A little long. And that will be going in effect in January 1st, 27. And mainly, it's going to be a hard lobby that this should not be on us for resources. This was brought about by the state. It should be paid by the state. Also, maybe there's, and this will be more controversial, but are there certain reforms we have to the act? But we'll see where the legislation goes. Then on Thursday, I had CAP LP, Finance and Board of Directors meeting. Many things presented at that meeting already been mentioned. We did have the official signing of the agreement between CAPOP and REACH, which is out in Holly, and they will be brought together. It'll be under CAPOP, however, locally out there it'll be still called REACH as for now. And then we had Head Start policy training given by staff. The next day I had the county education, or county extension service quarterly meeting. There too, we were given a good summation of what had happened with the clubs and the outreach that they had done for the year as given by the regional director. So just really good to see the activity that's happening in that and the 300 service clubs that we have in the state. Really effective work with these young kids for future leadership. And I'm missing one. I can't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. That's good. Thank you.
All right, we will take a 5-minute break. All right, we are back in session. At this point in time, we will move into our truth and taxation information. I want to point out we have with us today, I think, most, if not all, of our department heads are here. Thank you to all of you for being here for this. For those of you who are here to, this is a time when we go over the budget and tax levy highlights. This is how it impacts your property taxes. What this meeting is not is about your property tax valuations. If you are here about property tax valuations, we do have our assessor's office. We do have people next door, straight across the hall. If you have questions regarding your property tax valuations, that would be the place to go and visit with them. But because this is not the hearing that we deal with property tax values, so, or property assessed value. So with that, I am going to ask our administrator, Steve Larson, to go through this process.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. You nailed that, so my first page is done. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. With that, I'd like to start our presentation. But first, if there are any questions, please let me know. As you know, this budget process started back in May. Our department heads prepared and presented their proposed budget first to the county administrator and auditor treasurer, and then ultimately came before this board for presentations. You had the opportunity to review and provide directions, and numerous adjustments were made over the last several months based on that guidance. On September 16th, 2025, Resolution 25-22 established a preliminary levy approving an increase at 6.46, allowing Auditor Treasurer Lori Johnson to certify the preliminary levy required by Minnesota State Statute. Tonight, I will be presenting the 2026 proposed budget information package based on that certified preliminary levy. Now, Commissioners, before I go into my first slide, I'll pause and ask if there's any questions or anything else that you would like to discuss prior to our first slide.
Right.
I think, Commissioners, our first slide should look very familiar. We've had a different version of this going over for the last 4 months. And again, this is a summary by levy that allows us this provides us the information of how we arrived at 6.46. We are going to go into detail throughout this presentation on the information in this document, and so I just wanted to provide this first to remind everyone how we arrived at where we are, and we'll go into greater detail. The first document, the next slide that we have is our county levy tax that we're going to be requesting. This amount represents the maximum amount that we can request of our citizens. That number for 2026 is $233,076. Our levy is broken into 5 major categories. The first category is the General Reserve Fund. That is $27,990,406, or roughly 58.03% of the levy. Social Services is $14,094,276, or 29.22% of the levy. Road and Bridges is $5,023,949, or 10.42% of the levy. Debt retirement is $1,079,689, or 2.24%. That encapsulates 2 different bonds, or capital improvement bond of different projects that will be coming sunsetting in 2029. And also, this is the first year that the DMV is in debt retirement. Also, we have the building funds, building improvement funds of 0.09%. Through the property tax collection process, Ms. Johnson allocates the collected dollars to the appropriate fund categories. We'll address these areas in more detail later in the presentation. Any questions on the tax levy? All right, then the next slide is going to focus on our total budget expenditures. Right now, we are proposing a $128,539,419 expenditure proposal. This slide breaks down the expenses into 12 major categories. The general reserve, which is $39,020,997, or 30.36%. Social services, which is $31,069, or $69,659, or 24.17%. Road and bridges is $19,833,229, or 15.93%. Public health is $11,367,491, or 8.84%. The juvenile detention facility is $10,251,218, or 7.98%. Solid waste is $6,054,051, or 4.71%. The debt retirement is $5,100,768, or 3.97%. Internal service is $3,789,000, $3,789,653, or 2.95%. The Family Service Center is $1,852,358, or 1.44%. And then the Major Improvement Fund, which through budget process, it would be the Fund 19 that we discussed throughout the year is $150,000, or 0.12%. Or the Building Improvement Fund, which we talk it through as Fund 13, is $50,000, or 0.04%. It's important for our citizens to recognize that here through this list, solid waste, the Family Service Center, and the Juvenile Detention Center Secure Program are enterprise funds, meaning the revenue that their services support their operations, and they do not directly impact the levy. Are there any questions at all on the expenditures?
Steve, while you're on that particular page there, I think it's important to point out when we look at the budget expenditures of $128,539,000, and we compare that to the proposed levy, preliminary levy that was established at $48,233,000, that difference of $80 million is basically pass-through dollars between the federal and state governments. Yes. So, so when you look at those differences, we have a levy of $48 million, but we're actually responsible for expenditures of $128 million. So just for the public who might be watching, that's why those differences are there. They're pass-through dollars.
And if we take a look at the levy history, this shows our levy history from 2018 through 2026 proposed. The past spread levies of increases have ranged between 4.77% and 7.5%. This board recognizes the importance and value of our employees and the importance of offering a competitive wage. Our employees are the backbone of the work that gets carried out daily. Market studies have been completed to ensure that we can recruit and retain our amazing staff. In this list, you'll see on the right side, there's two areas that have asterisks. This indicates a year in which a market study was implemented. Clay County is fortunate to have a growth, a new construction. Generally, over the years, we see anywhere from increase from 1.04% to 1.25%, easing the levy impact. In addition to new construction, this board, from time to time, will also utilize one-time reserve funds when appropriate to offset the levy pressure. These funds may become available due to higher than expected revenues, lower than anticipated anticipated expenditures, or a combination of both. This year, the commission has approved the utilization of $834,232 coming from the general fund. As one of the fastest growing counties in the state of Minnesota, this board continues to emphasize stable, predictable levy increases to meet the growing needs of the county and to maintain the ability to serve the citizens of Clay County at the level they've come to expect. This board has faced many challenges over the past year with state funding cuts, both state and federal legislation that has shifted costs to the counties. This board continues to apply disciplined fiscal management, resulting in a 6.46 preliminary net levy. As you may recall, this percentage, when the information was first presented, showed a 12.56% increase. At the end of this presentation, I plan to present a document from the State of Minnesota Auditor's Office that captures the outcomes and benefit of the consistency setting levies by our board.
Steve, can I ask a question on that particular page? Where we show the 6.46 net after construction for 2026, are the previous years preliminary levy numbers, or are they actual numbers?
What?
These,
Yeah.
so that 4.45 in 2025 was actual.
That's correct.
And where this presentation, that 6.46 is preliminary,
That's correct.
of which we've already done some things that are going to be bringing that down.
That's correct.
Okay. So we're comparing that one preliminary to actual for the other years.
Any other questions, commissioners? The next slide gives us a look at the county budget history of revenues and expenditures. Again, revenues by major categories. Again, our taxes obviously are one source, but we also have, as Commissioner Campbell noted earlier, we have state and federal government funds that we receive. There's fees that we charge for service here at the county. There's fines and forfeitures. There's interest on investments, and the total proposed revenues for 2026 are $125,090,440. If you look at our next slide, we've talked about the information here. Here the expenses is $128,539,419. As you can see, there's a gap. There's a gap between the revenues and expenditures, and it's important that we're clear with our citizens that this is not a matter of deficit spending. Rather, it's a gap in creating our department. It is the gap that is created by our departments utilizing internal service when saving for larger purchases or projects. These dollars are going to be spent and recognized financially in 2026, but have been budgeted for multiple years. The funds utilized will make up the difference between the revenues and the expenditures. Internal service funds continue to be an important tool that this board utilizes in managing expenses and avoiding levy spikes, all while allowing the county to plan for long-term needs. And the slide before you here just provides an example, again, that each year we do have revenues or expenditures over revenues, but it shows the importance that internal service funds bring forward. Summary of expenditures by departments. This is something that we've gone over several times during our budget discussions. It's not something that I plan to go through, but I did highlight several areas over the next few slides just to provide some context where you see some either significant increases or decreases. The first area happens to be in my budget. If you recall, after the budget was established last year, the board allowed the half-time HR position, half-time administrator position to move to a full-time assistant administrator. And so this is the first time that that's being captured in our budget. As we talked about through the planning piece, we also then had another full-time position which was utilized in the communications department, GIS, to help me that was not filled as part of this budget process. The internal accounting, again, this is just a cost of the audits, and that's really is a timing issue. The state doesn't always send their bills in a specific amount of time, and so next year we had a 100% increase because we're looking at having to pay 2 different accounting cycles, audits. Personnel and HR, we saw a decrease in the salaries of 16.75%. Again, that was with Darren moving on out of that role and Anna taking over in that position. So the major difference is the salary adjustments. The county attorneys, victim witness, we saw an increase of 23.86%. Again, if you recall, this board in the past has utilized ARPA money and also public safety funding, which is now sunsetted, and so this is the first time that that position is being captured in the budget. Grounds and buildings, again, Joe continues to tweak the cost of each of our, we're looking at trying to have the actual cost of each facility. With that becomes tied to different staff people, and so with the staffing, the cost reallocations and the new buildings that we saw for the first time in the budget cycle with the detoxification, withdrawal management, and the DMV, we did see an adjustment there. The last item here is the medical examiner. Unfortunately, that is just tied to the needs that we're seeing in our communities, and so we did see a 10.34% increase. The next item would be public health. We saw a decrease there of 16.42%. If you recall, earlier this fall, the board made the decision to remove detox, withdrawal management, from the public health budget and have it be a standalone in 2026. And so that captures that issue. Metro Council saw a 28.64% decrease. I think just a reminder for our citizens, the MetroCog Council breaks their budget really into 2 categories, operations and overhead. Funding for MetroCog is primarily done through the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration, and there's a 20% local match that's required to receive these funds regionally, and that's where we talk about our MetroCog percentages. And the second part is also then the contracted planning services. At times there are additional fees for contracted consulting services for specific projects approved by MetroCog Policy Board. And there's not always contracted planning, which is what is attributed to that decrease this year. Cultural diversity had a 100% decrease. As this board knows, we've had many challenges across this year, and we do have several agencies that are non-county that receive different funds that we had to make either adjustments in the percentage of the request, held them flat, decreased, or ceased providing funding this year, and that was one of the areas. Appropriation for the Chamber of Commerce, we saw a decrease of up to $85,000 contribution. After the preliminary levy set, you may recall, you did adjust this, and that will be talked about later in the 2026 budget discussion. The next item is down in juvenile detention, the 12-bed non-secure facility. We talked about the secure facility being an enterprise fund, the 12-bed non-secure, which is more than 12 beds now, but is part of the county facility. We saw 11.42% increase. As you recall, this past year, James and his staff, with the support of the funding of this board, increased up to a $10 or up, I think it was up to a 12-bed female CLIPS program. And so, again, this would be the first time that we would be seeing those salaries added to that. The other thing that you're seeing is that there are challenges in finding placement beds for all levels of care, but for this particular case, non-secure placements. And so we are seeing more Clay County youth that are in need of those services and are staying home for the programs. If we go over to the right side here, the existing landfill, again with the resource recovery facility addition several years ago, Corey continues to work and tweak the budget of making sure that we have the allocations in the most appropriate spot, and this is more of a shift necessarily than an addition. Central administration saw a 107% increase. Again, that's a salary allocation that, as Joe continues to tweak, it's not necessarily an increase, it's a shift from some of the other different departments of how his time is allocated. And then the last item is the debt retirement to the DMV, which we addressed earlier in the presentation. With that, I'd yield for any questions on expenditures by departments.
Questions?
All right, the next portion of our discussion is going to deal with the real estate valuations. Again, just a reminder from the first item here, this is the 2025 assessment for the 2026 property tax. Again, this section identifies the first-tier agriculture homestead limit, excluding the house garage and the first acre of land, from $3.5 million in 2024 to $3.8 million for this property tax year. The Department of Revenue calculates and certifies the first-tier valuations limit annually based on a formula that compares the preceding year and the statewide average of the taxable market value. The second part of this slide deals with the market value exclusion, again with the base starting at $95,000, and the overall value qualifying for the exclusion this year is $517,200. At the point of and a point of understanding for our citizens is the higher value of the home parcel, the less homestead exclusion a taxpayer receives. And so, again, this is a document that we present that if the board were to approve the budget as it sits as a preliminary levy, this breaks down what the valuations, what the increases or decreases would be for the county, the school district, the city or township, the EDA, and the watershed. And so if this budget were to pass as presented, this is based on a $250,000 home in the city of Moorhead, with the understanding that if the valuations of the property had stayed the same from last year. Now, we know that doesn't happen. We're fortunate to live in an area where the value of our homes increases, maybe not at the tax perspective, but we have that breakdown. And so when you look at the document here today, the county portion would see an increase of $22.48 per year for the year, or a 2.19% increase. The school district saw a decrease of $17.97, or a 1.69%. But just to be clear, this does not include the referendum that just recently passed this past November in the city of Moorhead. The city and the township here would see an increase of $76.91, an increase of 6.07%. The EDA remained relatively flat, and the watershed had an $8.18 decrease, which equates to a 22.0% increase. So the citizens of Moorhead who own property with the market value of $250,000, assuming no change in value from the previous year, and assuming all the budgets stayed where they were set during the preliminary levy, the citizen in the city of Moorhead would see an increase of $73.14 per year, or a 2.13% increase. Any questions? I think that the next area that we're going to discuss is a summary of estimated market values. Why that's important is in Minnesota, the summary of estimated market values is important as it's a foundational information used in establishing a county levy because it defines the tax base against which we will levy, the levy will be spread. In short, the levy determines how much revenue the county needs. The estimated market value determines that cost, how that cost is distributed among taxpayers. In this document here, we're going to look at the total estimated market value that's comprised of tillable land, residential and building, and commercial and land and building. The main focus of our discussion tonight will be the tillable land and residential. For next year, the total estimated market value of Clay County property was $10,528,525,200. This is an increase from last year of $10,026,407,200. When we break that down into tillable land, the estimated value increased from $3,191,827,000 to $3,351,066,200, remaining at 3.18% of the total estimated market value. In 2025, we continue to see an increase in the sales price per acre in auctions, but the percentage of total market value of the tillable land remained the same. In our residential land and buildings, we saw an increase from $4,929,103,100 to $5,205,500,100. We saw a small increase here from 49.1% to 49.4%. The total estimate of these two categories is 81.2%, with the remaining 18.8% being attributed to commercial properties. Any questions? Lastly, I would like to reference a document from the State of Minnesota Auditor's website, specifically the Financial Comparison tab, which demonstrates the Clay County Board of Commissioners' ongoing commitment to responsible and fiscal management. This data continues to illustrate how the board's disciplined budgeting practices have resulted in comparatively lower tax levy when measured against other counties in the state of Minnesota. Providing the citizens of Clay County with high-quality services that they have come to expect while doing it in a fiscally responsible manner remains the primary goal of this board. Throughout the budget development, this board consistently emphasized to administration the importance of establishing a fair, sustainable levy each year. This expectation is communicated to all departments, not only through the formal evaluation of the department budgets, but all through ongoing discussions at monthly department head meetings. As a result of these clear directives, no new departmental funding requests were submitted. The board does not take lightly its responsibility when requesting additional levy dollars from Clay County residents and remains committed to prudent stewardship of public funds. I share this document each year because I believe that it supports the Board of Commissioners' consistent approach and the expectations of our departments to bring forward a budget that meets the needs of the citizens in the most cost-effective means possible by comparing a series of these areas to other counties in Minnesota per capita. There's 4 areas that I want to touch again on this year as I have in the past, is again the net levy tax. Clay County sits at number 72 of the 86 counties that provide their information. And when I say 72 at the bottom. Revenue generated by taxes, again, 81, Clay County sits at 81 of the 86 counties reporting. Charges for services, such as the recorder's office, planning, zoning, et cetera, is 83 out of 86. And our total current expenditures as a county sits at number 78 out of 85. While Clay County remains one of the fastest growing counties in the state of Minnesota, and no citizen welcomes a levy increase, this commission continues to strive to be an excellent steward of public funds. The information presented in this document supports and reinforces the comments made during this evening in regards to the board's commitment to responsible fiscal management. And with that, Mr. Chair, ends my formal presentation.
All right, any questions or comments from the board?
One comment, Mr. Chair. It says, on this sheet, it says Clay County 2022.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Bear. Appreciate that. The state auditor is always at least 2 years behind, and so that's we present the newest updated information each year.
All right, at this point in time, we'll open up to any citizens who would like to ask questions. Do we have any citizens who would like to ask questions? Any citizens would like to ask questions? And again, I guess I would like to point out that all of these presentations were based on what the board did in September. We're required by statute to authorize a preliminary levy that needs to be done in September. So all of this presentation that Mr. Larson has provided today is based on those preliminary levy numbers. Just as you're aware, or to make you aware, since that preliminary levy, which in those discussions, the numbers, the net levy amount after the new construction was at 6.46%. And that's for all of our citizens who received your proposed property tax dollar amounts in the mail. I think they probably came out a couple weeks ago. That's what that was based on. Since then, we've done a number of things along with our county auditor and our county administration and our staff, and we've been able to bring that net levy number down to 4.4% is what we're currently at. So we've dropped that 2.06 percentage points since the preliminary levy was done. And so that's going to certainly help reduce from the preliminary levy. So, and as Mr. Larson mentioned, on something, I think we're probably close to 80% of our expenditures are dealing with staff. And, and that's our people that are out there clearing our highways. It's our deputies doing all their work. It's the people involved with child protection. All of those areas are significant and important issues. From probation is here, we got IT is here, planning and zoning issues, solid waste is here, GIS is here. All of those things are incorporated, and they're all things that I think most of our citizens want us to continue to do. And I know it's we had a comment earlier about how expensive the property taxes are, but when you have to try to suggest what might be cut, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So, any other comments that any citizens want to comment? Lauren, do you want to?
I've got a bit of frog in my throat, so we'll try and do this. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about
Your name. Your name for the
my
record.
name.
Yes.
Oh, I'm Lauren Ingebrigtsen. I'm a local farmer and on my town board for 46 years, and I'm on the board of directors for Lakes and Prairies Community Action. I wanted to talk a little bit about the budget that you've proposed and some of the cuts that you've done and things like that. But first of all, before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about how I arrived at a budget on my farm. When times were tough and I had to make decisions, I'd look over what my costs were and what I wanted to have and what I had to have. And I would look at things like, can I afford to buy a tractor this year? And for the majority of my life, that was a no, because you fixed what you got. One of my tractors that I traded off not so many years ago was 50 years old, and it was a workhorse. Of course, it was Alice Chalmers Orange, and the John Deere people wouldn't. But anyway, the point of that is that you have to take care of what you got, and you guys are doing a budget for the county, and really the residents of the county and the entire county is your crop. And so you talked about cutting some budget dollars on the rural bus that goes out to senior citizens. That bus provides transportation to and from things for senior citizens, but underneath that all, it provides a way for them to stay in their homes. The cost of having people be forced to move into other living places and stuff like that makes the cost of the bus seem relatively low in comparison. It's an important thing, and there's a lady here that'll talk a little bit about that too. But the dollars that I could never afford to cut were the maintenance dollars. And to me, this bus, that is just that. It is maintenance for our residents in Clay County. Its ridership has gone down during the COVID. Excuse me, sorry. It's gone back up again, and it is on the rise again. And so it's an important thing. And I'd just like you to, I know this is not the meeting that you're going to change those things at, but I'd like you to consider that when you look at it, that how important that bus is to people in there that have reached their senior years. These are people that have worked their whole lives and a lot of them have lived their whole lives in Clay County, and that ability to stay home, in their own home, is vital. It's my firm wish that I'll die on the farm where I'm at. My wife might facilitate that sooner than you. But anyway, with that's enough for me, I think. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Brittany Nesvold from Felton. I'm going to follow up on his thing. My mom is actually one of them that rides the bus. She rides it twice a week to DaVita dialysis in Dilworth. Without that bus, it'd be very difficult for her to get there. I work a full-time job. My sister and I take turns taking care of our mom. So she'll come for a couple weeks, and then I'll take a turn for a couple weeks. So having that bus has made a world of difference for us. And for my mom to stay home in her home that she grew up in is very important to her. And for her mental health and just her well-being in general after a hospital stay, versus going to rehab or anything like that. I'd really hate to see the bus service end. It's really hard to find anybody that can help, when the bus can't come out, or to find another place that will come out to Felton. It's a half an hour drive from Moorhead, so cutting the service would really be a damper on a lot of services for her. That's it.
My name is Mark Haugen, and I'm from Holly. And Lauren and Brittany have said it very well. I'd like to just reemphasize, for the last 30 years, I've been a part of REACH in Holly, Rural Enrichment and Counseling Headquarters. And we have a volunteer senior driving program. My wife and I and 2 other community members are volunteer drivers, and we have been drivers for quite a while. I want to reemphasize the need because it is increasing. And what we have found in the last few years is that a number of times the 4 of us are not available, and sometimes the individuals, the seniors, will have to change their appointments. Most of what we drive are for medical, are for doctor's appointments. Those are the priorities. In terms of taking somebody to Walmart or whatever, we just don't have the manpower to do that. So I want to reemphasize that it's an important thing. Reach has now been acquired by Lakes and Prairie, and we are projecting with the combination of the two that this ridership is going to increase in 2026. We'll continue to be the 4 volunteers, but there's a bigger need. And I too agree that I think seniors need to have not only, they need to be able to have that independent ability to be able to stay in their homes. Sometimes some of them should not drive for safety reasons to themselves and to others. And a lot of them have acknowledged that. So don't forget those of us out on the east side of Clay County.
Excuse me, any other comments? Steve, based on the rural transportation, maybe we can have a little bit of that discussion before we do our final levy next. I don't recall what the status of that rural bus route was.
Mr. Chair, we did remove that from the budget. So currently, there's not anything that's allocated.
Was that through CAP?
That's through CAP LP, yes.
But, I mean, wasn't there some other options available for senior rides stuff?
I don't know if I think we talked about looking at if there were exploring other ways to utilize those funds to maybe not have the bus, or the van, but to do it in a different way. But at this point, I don't think anything was brought forward for that.
All right, well, maybe we can at least revisit that. We've had some requests by the public, so we can take a look at that next Tuesday. All right, anything else on the truth and taxation? Anybody else? Thank you for being here for that. Staff, thank you for all of you for being here tonight to help answer any questions. Lauren, you have?
Yeah, Kevin, one other thing. I just wanted to thank the board.
We have people watching online, so we know.
Okay. I just wanted to thank the board because it's not easy to do a budget. And you guys do the best that you can. You've got that levy down significantly from where it was. That bus that I'm talking about is important. The other factor is the bus is already there. So with that's important. But thanks for listening and considering, because it isn't always easy to get people to come in and talk about things either. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, that will conclude our truth and taxation part of the agenda. We have just a couple things left on our agenda. We will now move to the Clay County budget. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you highlighted at the end of truth and taxation, immediately after we set the preliminary levy, this board asked each of our departments to go back and further explore our budgets and identify different ways that we could look to bring that 6.46 down. And as you mentioned, several things came before you over the last several months. And just to note that in looking at the changes that have happened in our general fund, you made additional either cuts or revenue increases of $312,548. Social services has certainly been impacted by many of the legislative changes and cost shifts that we've talked about. Having said that, they sharpened their pencil, and we saw a decrease along with some additional revenues in contracts that they had. And also, I guess it's not a positive, but we've seen an increase in the population that we're serving in our withdrawal management, which led to a $100,000 decrease in a need from the public health budget. And so through that process, we did add or cut an additional $604,743.08. Working with the auditor treasurer and anticipating just if any of the new requests were approved today, there is in your handout, in your packet, there's a document that shows what that impact would be on the overall levy. Again, the board would have the opportunity to have additional discussions, but what we would be looking forward next week would be permission to have Lori bring forward a resolution on the levy and the final budget. Again, that she has the ability with her laptop to do the magic and give you on-demand information, and so that would be one of the things that we would be looking for next week. Just to put this into perspective, this does include 4% COLA. It does include utilizing $1.5 million in fund balance. We were fortunate enough through our insurance RFP process, we did have a decrease of our insurance of $403,475, and so that along with about $200,000 in less county program aid, we were still able to drop, as you mentioned, the net levy to 4.40. To put this in perspective, for that $250,000 homeowner property, as you recall, in our first slide during Truth and Taxation, we had a county's proposal at 6.46 was $22.48 increase, or 2.19%. If the board were to approve the budget as it sits with all of the changes that it made up till tonight, you would be looking at a $2.18 increase for the year, or a 0.21% increase. Again, that's on a $250,000 home, assuming the valuations stayed the same from the previous year. So quite a significant difference in the adjustments that were made from the preliminary levy.
All right. So we'll have a resolution before us on the 22nd. All right.
Sounds good.
23rd?
23rd.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lace. For the rest of you, thank you for being here. You're welcome to stay if you want, but I don't think you have to stay if you don't want to. I'm sure a lot of you would like to just, I don't think you want to hear our committee report.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just
mind you might want to stay for my committee report.
if I could reiterate your thanks to the board for the direction over the last 5 months, and two, thanks for this team. We're fortunate to have great leaders here at Clay County, and again, this was probably one of the most challenging budgets that we've seen in several years, and I appreciate their willingness to continue to go back, sharpen the pencil, look at different ways to increase revenues, so we were able to make the adjustments that we were able to.
All right. Let's see. We also have we do have a request for approval for vacation leave carryover.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is my request. The county policy allows our employees to carry over a maximum of 290 hours at the final pay period each year. Those hours that are not utilized are conceded back to the county. I'm carrying about 297 hours of vacation. I've appreciated the board. They've encouraged me to take my time. I've been able to utilize my time with Darren helping out. I just I was doing great until here this late this fall with the board, or excuse me, with the budget process. And so the request that I have before you is I am planning to take off with the board, if the board allows to take the week after Christmas off, which would be about 44 hours of vacation. And so the calendar year actually ends this Friday, and so I would just be requesting that I be allowed to carry those hours over to utilize the fall.
If it ended on the 31st, you wouldn't have to ask it.
That's correct.
Sure. I'd like a motion to approve the authorization for Clay County Administrator to carry over 44 hours of unused vacation leave in the subsequent pay period.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ebinger, second by Commissioner Kravinoff. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign.
Have a nice vacation.
Thank you very much.
Do something fun.
All right, committee reports. I will move on to my report. I do have to at least talk about a couple of meetings that go back to because I was gone for a little while, so we had a PIC meeting on November 25th that you've probably all heard about already. So Sarah, the minutes can show that I attended that meeting, and I'm not going to bore you with the stuff that was already presented at that PIC meeting. And moving on, we did have the next thing I had was our AMC conference that went from December 7th through the 9th, Wednesday, Sunday through.
Yep, the 10th.
Yeah. And the biggest issues there for me, of course, I am the delegate now on general government. In our general government, we had 13 amendments proposed to, I think we probably quadrupled any other, and all 13 of those amendments were approved and passed on and went to the floor for approval. I don't need to get into the weeds on them, but there were some that dealt with property tax reform cleanup. Solar production, we had a deal regarding nuclear power. That's now the AMC has the position where we're supporting that being looked at as an alternative. Then when I came back, then I also had the MCIT meeting. That was also there, the annual meeting of MCIT, and the board chair was reelected. That is running really well. I think they're looking at maybe being able to increase the coverage for cyber. So I think that's something that could be a positive for us as well. When I got back from that on Thursday, the 11th, I attended the Lakes Country Service Cooperative meeting. Basically just, and we had a budget meeting that I serve on the committee for that, or audit committee, I should say, and the audit was, had a very good audit like what we have here. So that was approved. And then this morning we had a Personnel Issues Committee meeting. We did have several discussions. There's going to be a replacement of a non-secure juvenile detention worker coming before us. There's been some issue with some software regarding IT and then we also had 3 different things with detox that are coming up that there will be coming before this board with recommendations. And then Anna asked about the furlough policy and the meal reimbursement rates, all those things. Those are all going to be on our, I think our next agenda. Is that correct? Right. So that concludes my report. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. December 2nd, met with Darren, updated many of the things that were happening over the holiday. On the 2nd, also met with Lori in regards to our budget discussions. The 3rd, I met with our legislative planning meeting that Commissioner Kravinoff has spoke on. Also met with Sheriff Empting. That afternoon, met with Robert Wilson, Cass County Administrator, and shared interests in the region. On the 4th and 5th, we, along with Commissioner Kravinoff, was at the MIAC meeting. Again, fortunate to talk with several commissioners, representatives from Office of Cannabis Management and MMB. In addition to them signing the resolution, they were also invited us to present during their legislative priorities. They'll be hosting their planning session in January, and so we hope to have the 2 or 3 of us there at that point. The 7th, we had MACA. I had a MACA meeting, lots of budget discussions. Also worked on a presentation for the Public Safety Committee that following day. Participated in the annual conference. Participated in attended the general government for a period of time. Then we also went and presented for that public safety presentation, and also met with the governor's office, has been spoken on. On the way home, I participated in a legislative planning meeting with our lobbyist. We updated them on the MIAC, the AMC, the governor's office meeting, and talked about our path forward. On the 11th, we met non-secure detention BRTF discussion team with Representative Keeler, provided updates there. On the 11th, also had a meeting with our City County Connect with Dan Molly and Derek Lapointe. Again, we talked with Derek about his transition into his new role and what that may look like. Again, I want to thank Derek for all the great work that he's done here in Clay County and lifting up the issues that we face here. Spent some time yesterday, Monday and today on TNT presentation. Also participated in a Step 3 union grievance. We do want to notify the chair. The chair was provided a document by Scott Doms that he's bringing to district court. That's his appeal option for the actions of the Planning Commission. And that will be, hearing will be coming upcoming. I did have a meeting with Matt and also Mr. Milton this week. Participated in the PIC meeting. And the last item again here is just a reminder. You see it probably outside here and around the community. The Moorhead Police Athletics and Activities fundraiser is going to be here on Friday at the Coffee for Kids, and so they're taking free will donations. And so if you're here on campus and the courthouse, you can participate in that. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Brian. Darren?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Brian, you have to start coming up with some stuff, because really, okay, I'll make this quick. 12:3, I had a discussion with Steve on various topics. Also attended a legislative planning session. I worked on the 2026-28 grids for the union negotiations, and had a meeting with Matt Jacobson on planning and zoning forms. On the 4th, I worked on some early retirement forms and grids. On the 5th, I had my annual physical, and you'll be happy to know I've been approved for 1 more year. On the 7th through the 10th, I had the AMC conference again. It's already been covered. On the 11th, I had a meeting with Anna on some personnel issues, and we also had a CDL discussion with Anna and Corey with a employee that's going to be partly driving sometimes, and we wanted to compensate him accordingly. On the 12th, I had a MCCC meeting, virtual, on UKG and improv discussions. On the 15th, sat in on the Step 3 grievance with Steve and Anna for a former social worker. Also had a meeting with Steve, Brian, and Matt discussing the pending district court case that Steve had just covered. And also today I attended the PIC meeting and the Safety Committee meeting. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Sarah? Nothing for you? All right, I think we've covered everything. We are adjourned.